You've decided you're ready to become a parent, and suddenly you're overwhelmed with people who feel they have the right to inform you on the correct way to conceive, give birth, what fears you should have, and the proper way to parent. How do you filter through the opinions? How do you know what's trustworthy information and what's a myth or just plain outdated? Welcome to the Birth Ease podcast. Join your host Michelle Smith and her guests as they cut through the noise and fear by sharing valuable tips, tools, and proven methods that help you connect with your own inner wisdom as you navigate the sacred journey that is pregnancy, birth, and parenthood in a more relaxed and confident manner. This podcast does not constitute, nor is it intended, as medical advice.
Hello, Birth Ease families. Welcome to this heartfelt space. I'm your host, Michelle Smith. May 6th, 2020 is Maternal Mental Health Awareness Day. Therefore, I wanted to dedicate this episode to provide an overview of what the postpartum experience can be like for new moms and their partners. Often there is so much focus on the pregnancy and the birth, and very little upon what happens once the baby is born. Families can find themselves woefully unprepared for the realities that a newborn brings to their lives. So I want to provide some self-care tips for moms and their partners, and to distinguish between baby blues that most all moms experience in the first days and first 2 weeks after birth, and that of postpartum depression. Please note that some of these postpartum tips may not be possible at this particular time due to the social distancing measures in place during the COVID-19 pandemic. Having a new baby can already feel overwhelming and isolating for many families, and the increased isolation, stress, and worry is just increasing this. Some new families are unable to have their parents, friends, or other family members travel or come by to help care for them, the baby, and the baby's older siblings if this is not their first child. For families with older children, school closures are placing additional responsibilities on the parents. They have been given the difficult challenge of filling the roles left empty by the quarantine, such as that of teacher, playmate, as well as parent. Many of the self-care resources are no longer available, such as gyms, babysitters, play dates, date nights with their partner, going to the spa, or taking time to get coffee or tea. New moms may have to rely more heavily upon online postpartum support groups and video chat for support. It really is a tenuous time right now. Some of my families are finding that because of COVID-19, their partner is working from home, or some are without work at this time. This can bring extra stress of trying to balance working at home, and if one or more of the partners is out of work, of course there is the financial strain as well for so many of us right now. But the gift in it can be that both partners can have the ability to care for and bond with their new baby for a longer period of time than they normally would have had. As many as 1 in 5 new mothers experience some type of perinatal mood and anxiety disorder, and it can affect women of every culture, age, income level, and race. Having experienced postpartum depression myself with all 4 of my babies and antenatal depression during my last pregnancy, I know that life circumstances can play a role in developing maternal mood disorders. The quarantine and social distancing measures in place to minimize the spread of COVID-19 are impacting everyone's mental health. Because of this, moms giving birth now, as well as their partners, will face more risk factors for developing perinatal mental health disorders. Some of those risk factors heightened by the COVID-19 situation include inadequate support, lifestyle changes, relationship stressors, the loss of a job, increased financial stress, and an inability to find supplies very often. Some birthing women may experience feelings of powerlessness and lack of autonomy, as well as poor communication and/or lack of support and reassurance by caregivers during their labor and birth of their baby, which that in itself can be a risk factor for postpartum PTSD. Having worked in the maternal health field for 20 years, I am grateful that there is greater awareness surrounding postpartum depression and anxiety. However, the downside is that many new mothers are becoming very afraid of developing it. Therefore, I want to gently provide some information regarding perinatal mood disorders so that families know what the warning signs are to look for, some self-help measures to put in place, as well as provide resources in the show notes. One of the coping strategies that research points to with stress management, anxiety, and depression is the eliciting of the relaxation response. And this can be done through deep breathing, mindfulness, meditation, and guided relaxation. I will be providing a brief guided relaxation at the end of this episode to help assist with creating that relaxation response. And if this is something that you are interested in, you can also refer back to episode 3 of this podcast for ways to reduce stress and listen to a longer guided relaxation designed to elicit that relaxation response and help facilitate deeper bonding with your baby and any other children you may have. Episodes 29 and 30 have useful guided relaxation recordings as well. Studies have also shown the benefits of yoga for depression, anxiety, and trauma. Episode 4 of the podcast features Stephanie Smith discussing the benefits of yoga if you would like to learn more. Additionally, in episode 14, Natasha Soloviev provides parenting and communication tips for families, and I'm excited to share that we are collaborating to create a resource for postpartum families. I do hope that this information and the short guided relaxation at the end of this episode provide you some comfort and ease in these trying times. And I just invite you to be patient and kind to yourself. And there's a lot of changes that your body is going to be undertaking after the baby's born. And immediately, once the baby's born, you still have to release the placenta. And once that happens, there's huge hormone shifts because you're not pregnant anymore. And so you might find you start shaking after it, and that's perfectly normal. It can frighten mamas, but it's a very normal thing. And once you settle in and you get your baby skin to skin, that can really help alleviate that shaking. And for some mamas, they may need a repair to your perineum, to your bottom. What a lot of people don't remember or realize is that after your baby's born, your uterus is going to be cramping. And that's because, like we discussed, those crisscross muscles, they have to clamp down around the broken blood vessels after the baby's born to prevent you from bleeding too much. And so every time you nurse, remember that your body's going to release oxytocin. Oxytocin makes your uterus contract, and you're going to feel that cramping. And you may feel it for the first few days. And for those of us that have had a baby before, note that it may be a bit intense, and you need to use your relaxation techniques. And it's okay, with your provider's permission, to take ibuprofen, or some mamas take Tylenol if that cramping is intense. But it will lessen after those first few days. And because you've released that placenta, your body is healing, and you're going to have the lochia, or the bleeding afterwards. And it starts out like a heavy period. And it will start out bright red, and then it will change to darker red, to brown, to pink. And as it tapers off, Sometimes it will be even brownish or a little yellowish because of the hormones. And that bleeding afterwards can take a few weeks for your body to heal, or for some women, it can take up to 6 weeks. And something that can contribute to the length of time that it takes your body to heal is doing too much. Because a lot of people don't realize, or they forget, that you have a wound in your uterus. A healthy placenta is big. And that wound gets, as the uterus clamps down, it may seem smaller, but there's still this huge wound. And many times we expect ourselves to do too much. We're trying to go to the store 3 days postpartum, which is not a good idea because you have this wound. And if you had a repair to your perineum, there's also potential for infection using a public restroom. It's really important to rest because your body needs to heal. And if you think about it, if you had a wound of this size on your chest or on your leg or on your back, and if that wound that's on your perineum was maybe on your arm, then you would take that into consideration and really take that time to recover and heal. And people around you would remember too that you have a wound, and it often gets overlooked. And so again, resting is so important. And initially when the baby's born, especially at the hospital, people are so excited and they want to come see the baby, and it can be very exciting to show off your baby, but you may want to consider limiting visitors or maybe have them come all at once because they can just keep parading in, and you may have had a long labor or your labor may have been overnight and you have not gotten much rest. And then the hospital staff is coming in and out. And then if you have visitors and you need to breastfeed your baby, it can interrupt your sleep as well as that schedule of nursing the baby, because a lot of new moms don't feel comfortable nursing in front of visitors. So I would suggest, again, limiting the visitors, because if you do too much, especially in those first 2 days, by day 2 or 3, you can feel like you have been run over by a Mack truck. And you're so tired, and then you're going to be going home with this new baby. Really begin to think about and set those expectations for your visitors. And once you're home, I think it's important to remember that mom is nursing and caring for the baby, and then dad needs to care for them. And anyone that comes over, it's their job to take care of the 3 of you or to help with baby's siblings. So often visitors come over and the focus is all on the baby, and people understandably want to hold the baby, but you just gave birth. Again, you've got these wounds and you may be exhausted, and having a lot of people over and holding the baby can interrupt your breastfeeding routine. It can also make you feel sometimes self-conscious if you're nursing in front of people. So don't be afraid to just let your visitors know that maybe you're not ready to see them, or if they come over and you're ready to take a nap or you need to nurse your baby, just simply excuse yourself and go take care of the needs of the 2 of you. And dad or partner, you can really be a guardian for them in that sense. And I like to tease, but I'm really kind of serious, that if visitors come over, they need to understand that they can stay for 15 minutes if they bring you food. They can stay an hour if they help you with some household tasks like folding baby laundry. Because again, you need to be nurtured and cared for, not playing host to visitors. And sometimes people can get their feelings hurt, but this is your time to recover and rest. So it's really important to be aware of that. As you're healing, there's things you can do to help your bottom to heal. A lot of moms make padsicles where they put witch hazel on a maxi pad and freeze it. You can buy good postpartum sprays. And after you have a baby, if you have a repair to your bottom, the first time you have a bowel movement, it can be really intimidating because you can feel like those stitches are going to burst. They're not going to, but that feeling can make you hesitate to use the restroom. So something that you can do is take a maxi pad and fold it adhesive side in. You don't need to pull that strip off, but just fold it adhesive side in. And then you can take that pad that's folded in half and hold it on your perineum to give you some counter pressure and some support as you have that bowel movement, and you won't have that feeling of being so worried about your bottom. Another thing that can be helpful in those first few weeks, if you're going to have guests over, is to stay in your nightgown or have your robe on when guests come over to remind them that you're healing. And remember, resting is not lazy. You need to heal and recover, and you're going to be up all night nursing or feeding a baby. And so it's really important to rest when your baby rests. And another thing that a lot of women don't realize or are surprised by is those hormonal changes. Those hormones can take you by surprise. You get this huge influx of hormones when your milk comes in, and you can feel not like yourself. You can be weepy, irritable, that type of thing. You can experience the baby blues, and exhaustion and sleep deprivation can make that worse. And so know that those hormonal changes are normal and a part of the process, and you may find yourself weeping and crying in those first few weeks. Sometimes even mamas, those first few days, they'll look at their new baby and they'll be crying because they look at them and the baby's small and they're thinking, I don't even know how to change your clothes or change your diaper properly, and how am I going to take care of you? And those feelings can be really overwhelming, but they're normal. And remember that you know your baby better than anyone. This baby grew within you, and you have that inner wisdom, and you know your baby better than anyone else. And so remember to really trust that. People are going to want to offer a lot of advice, and it can be good to do your homework and to really think about what's important to you, because people, just like in pregnancy, they're going to have a lot of childcare advice. And so take time to really explore your values for what you want for your baby, how you want to care for your baby, that type of thing. And as I mentioned, it's really important to sleep when your baby sleeps. It's easy to get caught up in this cycle of sleep deprivation, and the more tired you get, the more difficult it can be to fall asleep. And so listening to your relaxation recordings or the sleep meditation can be really helpful to help you fall asleep and get that rest that you need. Because when you're nursing, it's important to note that you feed your baby every 2 to 3 hours. And that's the beginning of one feed to the beginning of the next. So that means that if you're nursing even 10, 15 minutes each side, by the time you burp the baby, change the baby, get ready to nurse, you realistically maybe have an hour between feeds, maybe less. So take advantage of that time to rest when your baby rests. And it's really important to make sure that you're staying hydrated and you're eating. You can get so overwhelmed caring for the baby, you can forget to eat. So it can be helpful to have lots of snacks near where you sit and nurse, by your nightstand, because you can get hungry in the middle of the night. And if you're breastfeeding, it's really important to stay hydrated to be able to make that milk for your baby. And as you adjust to caring for a new baby, it can be helpful sometimes to think about what you may need in support. You can maybe make up a list and think about if meals would be helpful, or to have someone come help with the baby's siblings to give you a little bit of break, or sometimes hiring someone to do housework for you for the first few months can be really helpful, so that you don't overdo it and that you're not feeling like everything's on you and you're not keeping up. So think about these things, or maybe a friend or your sister or your mom, to have them over and have them understand that, again, your job is to take care of the baby, but it would be really helpful if they fold that baby laundry or maybe make a meal for you. And don't be afraid to ask for help. It's important too, though, to think about who you're going to have over, because you really want to have somebody that is non-judgmental, and you won't feel like they're judging you or thinking that you're a bad mom because you couldn't keep up with the baby laundry or because your toilet's dirty. You really want to have those people around you that can support you and help you, so that when you're exhausted, if it's someone you trust, you can hand them your baby so that you can fall asleep really deeply, or take a shower, or brush your teeth and wash your face. When you have a new baby, that can feel like a luxury sometimes, just to have the time to be able to do that. And it's important to note too that sometimes it's not unusual to feel a little slighted when people come over and everybody pays attention to the baby and they may ignore how you are. And again, that's why surrounding yourself with supportive people, people that have been there, people that understand what it's like to have a new baby, can be so helpful. Having somebody over that just wants to sit and hold your baby isn't necessarily helpful if you're over there fixing both of you lunch or making you both tea. Something else to think about is that initially people are so excited about the baby and people come to help, and about 3 to 4 weeks in, exhaustion can set in. Everybody's gone back to work, they've gone back to their lives, and your partner maybe have gone back to work, and it can feel lonely, and you may feel overwhelmed. And that can be a time too to ask for some help, maybe just once or twice a week, so that you have that time to yourself. And it's important also to be gentle with yourself and not expect to bounce back right away, and understand that you're not going to have your body back immediately. It took 9 months for you to grow this baby, and there were a lot of changes that happened. And immediately after birth, you may still look pregnant. You probably will. And 6 weeks postpartum, you may still have that baby bump. Remember to be gentle with yourself. I think there's too much pressure in the media and tabloids and that type of thing about stars or celebrities that they don't have their post-baby body yet, or there's a lot of posts on Facebook about how to get your post-baby body back, and it's just not a realistic expectation. And if you're nursing, you need to be getting enough calories and taking in really wholesome food so that your body can produce milk. And dieting and exercising immediately is not beneficial to you and your baby. And be gentle, because your body may never look the same again, because you're now a mother. And those changes really help denote that. So if you have other children, sometimes you can feel a little bit overwhelmed trying to care for them all. And sometimes you can even feel less patient. You may feel overtouched if you're nursing. And again, taking that time for yourself just to be able to go to the bathroom alone, or wash your face, or brush your teeth is so important. And that's something that your partner can do for you once they get home, so that you have those few moments to yourself. But you may want to consider hiring a high school student or a babysitter to help you with the siblings, or maybe some family can help in those first few weeks and months. And something that can be helpful when you're feeding the baby, because siblings can feel like the baby's getting all the attention, is to maybe have a basket of special toys that they play with only when you're feeding the baby. And then remember too, to take a little time alone with your other children. Otherwise, they can begin to feel ignored. And it's not intentional. It's just a new baby is really consuming. And know that if little ones have been potty trained, they could regress and start to have some accidents, and be really patient in that. That can happen when a new baby comes home. They may regress in their behavior too. They may have more temper tantrums, that kind of thing. And it just goes along with that journey of adding a new member to your family. And that's where, again, communication is really going to be important between your partner and you. And it can be so easy to snap at one another when you're overtired and exhausted and irritable, perhaps, or you're feeling weepy. And remember, too, that your partner is making a huge adjustment as well. So taking time, if you can, even just once a month, to go on a date together is really important, because it helps to keep your relationship alive, and it helps you to remember why you fell in love with each other, why you chose to have this baby together. And when you're on that date, it's really tempting, but do your best to just not talk about the new baby or your children. Really cultivate some conversation and some intimacy between the two of you, because again, that's what's going to keep your marriage alive, or your relationship alive and vital. And so with all these postpartum changes, I think it's just really important to be patient with yourself and understand that this is a huge transition for you all. Your body is going to be different. You are going to be tired. You will be sleep deprived. You may feel as if, honestly, like you are leaking all over the place, from your breasts, from your bottom. You may be crying. There's just so many changes that happen within your body. And be gentle and allow yourself time to be able to heal and adjust. And often after the baby's birth, it can come down to who's crying more, you or your baby. Your body experiences a sudden and swift change in hormones immediately after the birth of your baby, and with the release of the placenta, which abruptly ends the source of the pregnancy hormones that has been supplying you. A new set of hormones floods your body as your milk comes in around days 3 to 5. These hormonal shifts, combined with the stress of giving birth and caring for a new baby, along with sleep deprivation, as well as a sore and tender body, can cause you to feel weepy, overwhelmed, irritable, and emotionally fragile. This is known as the baby blues, and generally the baby blues can be felt within the first couple of days after the birth. And they may peak around 1 week, and they usually taper off by the end of the 2nd week postpartum. And while this can take a new mother by surprise, the majority of women experience at least some of these symptoms. And the baby blues are perfectly normal, but if your symptoms don't go away after the initial few weeks after giving birth or get worse, you may be suffering from postpartum depression. And unlike the baby blues, postpartum depression is a more serious problem, and one that should be addressed. It's also good to note that immediately after birth, not all women are overcome with joy and feelings of love for their newborn. A mother may be processing everything that just happened to her during her labor and birth. This can be normal, and she may need time to get to know her baby and develop a relationship with her child. Like all relationships, falling in love and bonding doesn't always happen right away. Postpartum depression can, however, interrupt the process of bonding. Severely depressed mothers can be loving and attentive, but at other times they may react indifferently, negatively, or not respond at all to their babies. Mothers with postpartum depression tend to interact less with their babies, and they are less likely to breastfeed, play with, and read to their children. They may also be inconsistent in the way that they care for their newborns. Fortunately, there are 2 great resources that have been shown to help prevent and counteract the effects of postpartum depression: Dunstan Baby Language and The Happiest Baby on the Block. Understanding your baby's signals and cries helps you to respond quickly, consistently, and warmly to your baby's physical and emotional needs, which helps facilitate bonding and attachment with your baby. This not only benefits your child, it also benefits you by releasing endorphins that make you feel happier and more confident as a mom. In the beginning, postpartum depression and normal baby blues can be difficult to distinguish from one another. They share many of the same symptoms, including mood swings, crying jags, sadness, insomnia, and irritability. The difference is that with postpartum depression, the symptoms are more extreme. such as feeling unable to cope or incapable of caring for your newborn, or experiencing dark or suicidal thoughts. The symptoms are longer lasting than the first 2 weeks after birth. There's no single reason why some new mothers develop postpartum depression and others don't, but a number of interrelated causes and risk factors are believed to contribute to the problem. There are huge hormonal changes that happen after childbirth, and women experience a big drop in estrogen and progesterone hormone levels. Thyroid levels can also drop, which leads to fatigue and depression. These rapid hormonal changes, along with changes in blood pressure, immune system functioning, and the metabolism that new mothers experience, may trigger postpartum depression. Giving birth brings numerous physical and emotional changes. You may be dealing with physical pain after giving birth and feeling like your body is just not your own anymore. There is tremendous pressure in our society also to return to your pre-pregnant body. It can leave you feeling insecure about your physical appearance and sexual attractiveness. Many women are also just too exhausted from caring for their baby to be interested in sex as well. The stress of caring for a newborn can also take a toll. New mothers are very often sleep deprived. In addition, you may feel overwhelmed and anxious about your ability to properly care for your baby. You can feel inadequate and helpless. These adjustments can be particularly difficult if you're a first-time mother who must get used to a completely new identity. You may feel isolated since you are alone home caring for your baby and others are at work. Several factors can predispose you to postpartum depression. The most significant is a history of postpartum depression, as a prior episode can increase your chances of a repeat episode to 30 to 50%. A history of non-pregnancy related depression or a family history of mood disturbances is also a risk factor. If a mother feels as if her baby's birth did not go as she had hoped and dreamed, such as a cesarean birth when she was planning an unmedicated natural birth, if her birth was traumatic for her or her baby, or if she felt bullied or unheard during her labor, she is at greater risk for postpartum depression. Other risk factors include social stressors, such as lack of emotional support, an abusive relationship, and financial uncertainty. A woman that has experienced prenatal depression during her pregnancy may be more inclined to experience postpartum depression as well. The risk is also significantly increased in women who discontinue medications abruptly for purposes of pregnancy. Something that often gets overlooked is that a mother can be at risk for postpartum depression up to 2 years after the birth of her child. Partners can experience postpartum depression as well. Red flags for postpartum depression are withdrawing from your partner or being unable to bond well with your baby, anxious feelings that are out of control, preventing you from sleeping, even when your baby is sleeping, or eating appropriately, overwhelming feelings of guilt, worthlessness, or self-hatred, developing thoughts that are preoccupied with death, or even wishing you were not alive, extreme fear of something happening to the baby. Remember that many women suffer from postpartum depression. If you develop it, it's vital to understand that you are not alone. A postpartum support group for depression is beneficial as well. And if, despite self-help measures and the support of your friends and family, you're still struggling with postpartum depression, you may want professional treatment. The Edinburgh Postnatal Depression Scale is a screening tool designed to detect postpartum depression. It is included in the resources. Follow the instructions carefully. A score greater than 13 suggests the need for a more thorough assessment because you could have postpartum depression. A good therapist can help you successfully deal with the adjustments of motherhood. If you are experiencing marital difficulties or feeling unsupported at home, marriage counseling can be very beneficial. Many hospitals have support groups specifically for postpartum depression. Seeing an acupuncturist physician and/or a craniosacral therapist are excellent holistic means to help address any underlying physical and emotional imbalances you may be experiencing. These treatments are also an effective way to address and release any trauma that is being held within the body. For cases of postpartum depression where your ability to function adequately for yourself or your baby is compromised, antidepressants may be an option. Medication should, of course, be closely monitored by a physician and has been shown to be more effective when accompanied by psychotherapy. Estrogen replacement therapy sometimes helps with postpartum depression. Estrogen is often used in combination with an antidepressant. There are risks that go along with hormone therapy, so be sure to talk to your doctor about what is best and safest for you. I want to make note that approximately 6% of pregnant women and 10% of postpartum women develop anxiety. Sometimes they experience anxiety alone, and it shows up as postpartum anxiety, and sometimes they experience the symptoms of the anxiety in addition to depression. The symptoms of anxiety during pregnancy or postpartum might include constant worry, feeling like something bad is going to happen, racing thoughts, disturbances of sleep and appetite, inability to sit still, and physical symptoms like dizziness, hot flashes, and nausea. The risk factors for perinatal anxiety and panic include a personal or family history of anxiety, previous perinatal depression or anxiety, or thyroid imbalance. Some women may experience generalized anxiety, and some may experience postpartum obsessive compulsive disorder, and others may experience postpartum panic disorder, which is a form of anxiety in which the mother feels very nervous and has reoccurring panic attacks. During a panic attack, she may experience shortness of breath, chest pain, claustrophobia, dizziness, heart palpitations, and numbness and tingling in the extremities. Panic attacks seem to go in waves, but it's important to know that they will pass, and if you are experiencing them, they will not hurt you. Postpartum and antepartum anxiety are temporary and treatable with professional help. Although it's rare, unfortunately, some women will develop postpartum psychosis, an extremely serious illness that can develop after childbirth. It is characterized by a loss of contact with reality. Because of the high risk for suicide or infanticide, hospitalization is usually required to keep the mother and baby safe. Postpartum psychosis usually develops suddenly within the first 2 weeks after delivery, and sometimes within 48 hours. Symptoms include hallucinations, seeing things that aren't real or hearing voices, delusions, paranoid and irrational beliefs, extreme agitation and anxiety, suicidal thoughts or actions, confusion and disorientation, rapid mood swings, bizarre behavior, inability or refusal to eat or sleep, difficulty communicating at times, and thoughts of harming or killing the baby. It's important to note that many survivors of postpartum psychosis never had delusions containing violent commands. Delusions may take many forms, and not all of them are destructive. Most women who experience postpartum psychosis do not harm themselves or anyone else. However, there is always the risk of danger because psychosis includes delusional thinking and irrational judgment. And this is why women with this illness must be quickly assessed, treated, and carefully monitored by a trained healthcare perinatal mental health professional. Postpartum psychosis is temporary and treatable with professional help, but it is a medical emergency and requires immediate medical attention. It's important to reach out to your obstetrician, midwife, mental health professional, or emergency room for immediate care. Adding a new baby to the family is a huge transition for everyone. Feelings of overwhelm and bouts of crying or irritability in the beginning are normal baby blues and can be expected. If the feelings are extreme or last longer than 2 weeks, this can be postpartum depression and it can be more serious. If you have bouts of uncontrollable crying, inability to cope, find yourself withdrawing from your partner and family, feeling suicidal, and/or are having dark thoughts consumed with self-harm, self-hatred, or infant harm, please reach out to your caregiver. There is help and support for you. You don't have to suffer alone. And with any perinatal mood disorders, please know that it's not your fault, you are not to blame, and there is no shame in reaching out for help. Following suggestions are helpful for all women postpartum, and especially so if you are feeling overwhelmed and may be suffering from postpartum depression. Taking care of yourself is one of the best things you can do to relieve or avoid postpartum depression. The more you care for your mental and physical well-being, the better you'll feel. Self-care and simple lifestyle changes can go a long way towards helping you feel like yourself again. Remember the adage, you cannot pour from an empty cup. Make yourself and your baby the priority and allow housework to take a back seat as much as possible. Give yourself permission to concentrate on yourself and your baby. That can really lessen some of the pressure you may be feeling to keep up with everything. There's more work involved in caring for a baby 24/7 than holding down a full-time job. Exercise is beneficial for both physical and mental health. Studies have shown that exercise may be just as effective as medication when it comes to treating depression. You can ease back into exercising gently once your doctor and midwife clears you postpartum. No need to overdo it. A 30-minute walk each day will work wonders. Stretching exercises such as those found in yoga have been shown to be especially effective. Research supports the effectiveness of mindfulness and meditation for making you feel calmer and more energized. It can also help you to become more aware of what you need and what you feel. Eliciting the relaxation response helps counteract the stress and anxiety. 8 hours of sleep may seem like an unattainable luxury when you're dealing with a newborn. Do what you can to get plenty of rest. From enlisting the help of your partner or family members to taking a nap when your baby naps. Lack of sleep does make the feelings of overwhelm and depression much worse. It is okay to take some time for yourself to relax and take a break from your mom duties. Find small ways to pamper yourself, like taking a bath, savoring a hot cup of tea, or lighting some candles. Even a trip to the store alone can feel good for some mothers. Massage, craniosacral therapy, and acupuncture are especially beneficial. You must take time to refill the well in order to give of yourself so completely. Don't be afraid to set boundaries and say no. It's okay to limit visitors in order to care for yourself. You do not have to answer the door if somebody shows up unannounced and you're not up for a visit. Playing host can be exhausting. Feel free to excuse yourself to nurse your baby or to take a nap. Remember, it is your job to care for your baby and your partner's job to care for the both of you. Visitors should be prepared to help care for the 3 of you and your other children if your baby has any siblings. Visitors should only sit and hold your new baby for an extended period of time if you feel comfortable with that, and especially if you would like to use the opportunity to eat, shower, or fall asleep very deeply. At the same time, remember that it is okay to receive non-judgmental help. Receiving help and care is a true form of nurturing and caring for yourself. The rigors of caring for a newborn can cause you to forget to take time to stop and eat, much less prepare meals. Keeping healthy snacks and a glass of water can be very helpful. Amazon Prime for groceries and food delivery are indispensable for many new families. If you are feeling depressed, Nutrition often suffers because you can lack the motivation to eat. What you eat has an impact on your mood, and it can impact your milk supply if you are breastfeeding. It's important to take time to eat something nourishing and stay hydrated, even if you don't feel interested in food. Take some time to get outside. Sunlight and being in nature lifts your mood, so try to get at least 10 to 15 minutes of sun per day. A little time outside or a walk around the neighborhood can benefit the whole family. Do your best to relax and enjoy your new baby. You cannot spoil a newborn by holding them. Remember, even if you hold your new baby 12 hours a day, you have cut their contact with you in half. Your baby has been used to feeling, hearing, and being a part of you 24 hours a day. Connection and bonding are vital for both your baby and you. The emotional bonding process between mother and child, known as attachment, is the most important task of infancy for your baby. The success of this wordless relationship enables a child to feel secure enough to develop fully, and it affects how he or she will interact, communicate, and form relationships throughout life. A secure attachment is formed when you as a mother respond warmly and consistently to your baby's physical and emotional needs. When your baby cries, you quickly soothe him or her. If your baby smiles or laughs, you respond in kind. In essence, you and your child are in sync. You recognize and respond to each other's emotional signals. However, learning to bond with your baby not only benefits your child, it also benefits you by releasing endorphins that make you feel happier and more confident as a mom. Our human brains are primed for this kind of nonverbal emotional connection that creates so much pleasure for you and your baby. Make your relationships a priority. Human beings are social creatures by nature. Positive support and social contact are one of the most efficient means of stress reduction. Historically and in other cultures, new moms received help from those around them when caring for themselves and their infants after childbirth. They didn't have to do it alone. And in today's world, many mothers find themselves exhausted and lonely for supportive adult contact. Remember, it's okay to ask for help. Allowing yourself to receive help is a true form of self-care. If you're feeling depressed and vulnerable, it's more important than ever to stay connected to family and friends, even if you'd rather be alone. Isolating yourself will only make your situation feel even bleaker, so make your adult relationships a priority. Let your loved ones know what you need and how you'd like to be supported to the best of your ability. In addition to the practical help your friends and families can provide, they also serve as a much-needed emotional outlet. Avoid keeping your feelings to yourself. Share what you're experiencing, the good, the bad, and the ugly, with at least one other person that you feel safe with. It doesn't matter who you talk to, so long as that person is willing to listen without judgment and offer reassurance and be supportive. Even if you have supportive friends, you may want to consider seeking out other women who are dealing with the same transition into motherhood. It's very reassuring to hear that other mothers share your worries, insecurities, and feelings. Good places to meet new moms include support groups or church groups. Connecting with those from your church or spiritual community can be especially valuable at this time. After the birth of your baby, it is easy to forget to take time to reconnect with your partner. The demands of caring for a new baby and other children can easily consume all of your attention. For couples, the relationship with their partner is their primary source of emotional expression and social connection. It's important to continue to put time, energy, and thought into your relationship. It's essential to make time for just the two of you when you can reconnect. But don't pressure yourself to be romantic or adventurous unless you're both up for it. You don't need to go out on a formal date to enjoy each other's company. Even spending 15 or 20 minutes together, undistracted and focused on each other, and doing something as simple as going for a walk or getting a cup of tea or coffee can make a big difference in your feelings of closeness. Even the best of relationships can become strained with the demands of caring for a new baby, along with the sleep deprivation that goes along with it. It can leave you feeling sensitive, overwhelmed, and just absolutely exhausted. And since you can't take it out on the baby, it's all too easy to turn your frustrations onto your partner and snap at one another. Remember to just grant one another some grace and that you're in this together. Keeping the lines of communication open is what helps make your relationship stronger. Many things change following the birth of a baby, including roles and expectations. Don't assume your partner knows how you feel or what you need. For many couples, a key source of strain is the post-baby division of household and childcare responsibilities. It's important to talk about these issues rather than letting them fester. Even better, discuss the new responsibilities you will face with a baby before your baby is born. Bringing Baby Home, Baby Makes 3 by the Gottman Institute is an invaluable resource. Partners, remember you also need to take care of yourself. Dealing with the needs of a new baby is hard for both of you, and if the mother of your child is depressed, you are dealing with two major stressors: depression and the transition of a new baby in your family. Be sensitive to her needs and take the birth seriously. Know that she will be in some pain after the birth of your baby. She will need time to heal. Be there for her to help her recover. You can help your wife or partner by encouraging her to talk about her feelings. Listen to her without judging her or offering solutions. Instead of trying to fix things, simply be there for her to lean on. For women, a listening ear and validation of her feelings can be incredibly helpful and healing. Make sure she takes time for herself. Rest and relaxation are very important. Encourage her to take breaks. You can hire a babysitter or schedule some date nights for you both. Even just 30 minutes or so to eat, shower, or use the restroom uninterrupted without worrying about the baby is amazingly helpful and rejuvenating. With the work of feeding and caring for the baby around the clock, it can be difficult for her to even find time to wash her face and brush her teeth, much less shower and have time to shave her legs and wash her hair. Never underestimate the amount of laundry a new baby can produce. Caring for a baby is more than a full-time job, and your partner's body may still be healing for weeks and months after the birth. She will have little time to clean or pick up after everyone. Hiring a house cleaning service for the first few months is definitely worth the investment if you can afford it. Figuring out ways to help with household and childcare responsibilities before your baby is born will take a lot of the strain off of you both. Be patient if she's not ready for sex. Her body is still healing and it has undergone some huge changes. Depression affects sex drive, so it may be a while before she's in the mood. Offer her physical affection, but don't push it if she's not up for sex. Go for a walk with her. Getting exercise can make a big dent in depression, but it's hard to get motivated when you're feeling low. Help her by making walks a daily ritual for the two of you. Take the lead in helping set and enforce healthy boundaries for your family. Family members and friends can mean well, but if their presence is stressful for your partner, please tactfully cut the visit short or run interference. If your partner shows signs of postpartum depression, please reach out to her caregiver for help and support. The transition to parenthood is a big adjustment. It's important to be patient with yourselves and keep the lines of communication open. Remember, there's lots of good resources out there now, and Happiest Baby on the Block, Dunstan Baby Language, and Baby Makes 3 by the Gottman Institute are invaluable resources. And remember to reach out for friends and family for care. Some additional tips. If you are suffering from circular, worrisome thoughts, it can be helpful to pause and ask yourself if they are true. For example, the thought may be, I'm a bad mother because I'm feeling frustrated and overwhelmed while caring for my new baby. Pause and ask yourself, Is it true that I'm a bad mother? Your mind may say yes, but on deeper reflection you may ask, is it 100% true that I am a bad mother? No, it isn't 100% true. You are human. You are doing the best that you can with the skills that you have. You are most likely very, very sleep deprived, and you are in a new situation with this tiny human. You are navigating through territory as a mother you have never experienced before, and you are learning as you go about your baby's needs and how to meet them. Take some deep breaths, Mama, and grant yourself some grace. Here is another example. My baby doesn't like me because she's crying when I hold her. I have found that this thought can happen for new mothers and especially for new fathers. So again, pause and ask yourself, is it true that my baby doesn't like me? Your mind may say, yes, she cries louder when I hold her. But on deeper reflection, you may ask, is it 100% true that my baby does not like me? No, it's not 100% true. All babies cry. That is how they communicate their needs. All of this is new for her as well. And you can tell yourself such things as, I can help my baby by learning what her cries mean. I can take some deep breaths and slow down myself. Babies prefer a slower pace. As I relax, it helps my baby to relax. You may find it helpful to find a scripture that really speaks to you or an affirmation to repeat to yourself. Some examples could be, I am gentle and compassionate with myself as I learn to parent my child. I pay attention to the stories I tell myself about my child and myself as a parent. I gently question if those stories, if those thoughts are true. I can trust my child to let me know what they need. I take time to balance my needs alongside those of my child's. Remember, one of the quickest ways to calm your body is through your breath. When we are stressed and anxious, our breathing becomes shallow and rapid. You can take a few slow, deep breaths in through the nose and exhale slowly through your mouth. If you are especially tense, open your mouth and relax your jaw. You may even want to wiggle your lower jaw back and forth to help release any tension. You can also put your hands behind your head to help open and relax your chest and take a few deep, slow breaths, allowing your lungs to fill more deeply. And once your breathing begins to deepen, you can relax your arms back down. As you relax your jaw, you can also gently imagine softening and relaxing your bottom, gently noticing where you are holding any tension. These ways of checking for tension in your body that you may feel can help your body to begin to self-regulate. And I invite you now, if you are seated in a safe and comfortable place, to just take a few moments to focus on your breath. If you are engaged in an activity that requires your full attention, then please pause the podcast now and return to it later when you have a few minutes to gently close your eyes and focus on your breath. Please begin by closing your eyes and taking a few deep, slow breaths. Inhale through your nose and exhale some of the stress, strain, and tension through your mouth. And again, releasing a bit more with each breath you exhale. Just taking several deep breaths in, breathing in through your nose, and exhaling slowly through your mouth, releasing, relaxing, and letting go. And when you are ready, switching gently to breathing in and out through your nose. Feeling the air as it moves in and out of your lungs at a comfortable pace for you. You can give your breath a color or a feeling, such as blue and peace. Taking a few gentle breaths like this. Gently breathing in and exhaling. Now notice your breath as it moves through your lungs. Gently releasing, relaxing, letting go even more now. Now imagine that this calmer breath flows into your heart easily and gently. Breathe into your heart, exhaling any stress, strain, pain, and tension. And again, allow your breath to create a soothing feeling, a lovely glow within your heart. Allowing your breath to bring peace, calm, quiet, soothing away any tension. Allowing your heart to return to its natural state of love. And now with your next breath, inhale deeply and send your breath all the way up to your brain. Send your breath all the way up to your brain, clearing your mind, clearing your thoughts, releasing, relaxing, letting go as you exhale. Sending love and peace to your thoughts. And again, surrounding your thoughts with love and compassion, allowing them to soften within your loving breath. Now once again, send your breath into your heart, easily and gently. Breathe into your heart, and you can focus on the love that you have for your baby. Allow that love, peace, that calm, that quiet, and the love to fill your heart, to fill your body, to fill every cell in your body now, more relaxed with every breath you exhale. Feeling the love and connection between your baby and you. growing stronger, flowing more freely between you both. And if you have other children, allowing that love and connection to flow between you all, allowing that love and connection to grow and flow between you all as well. Growing more relaxed with every breath, with every gentle beat of your heart. Allow yourself a few moments now to relax into this love, this calm, this connection. And when you feel ready, opening your eyes, bringing your awareness back to the room, feeling more relaxed, centered, focused, and at peace. You can use this little guided relaxation whenever you may need it. The more you practice it, the easier it becomes. Some days you will relax more easily and quickly than others. That is perfectly normal. Remember, learning to relax is like building a muscle. It gets stronger with repetition. And I thank you so much for listening. I'm keeping you all in my thoughts and in my prayers. Remember that there are some great resources out there for you, and I have listed several in the show notes.
For more great conversations like these, or to find out more information and access Michelle's library of amazing guests, go to birtheaseservices.com/podcast. For more information on the Birth Ease method, Michelle's classes, meditations, and other services, go to birtheaseservices.com.